All right, folks, Mr. Trump is doing for world trade what it could not do for itself, and that is the subject of the riff. You know, even the New York Times had a positive column today about President Trump's trade policy. The story was filed by Anna Swanson, who I happen to know and regard as a fair-minded reporter. It wasn't totally positive, but she made the point that the big economies, like the EU and Japan, are making peace with President Trump's trade reordering, and they are avoiding a global trade war. She makes a second good point. Mr. Trump is using America's economy as leverage, so other countries will pay what I call a modest toll of 15 to 20% in order to do business with the U.S. Now, even though there was tariff hysteria last April, it was based on some very poor premises. The biggest mistake that the liberal lefty media and their allies in the equally liberal lefty economics profession make is that the Trump tariffs are somehow a repeat of the 1930s Smoot-Hawley bill. Well, who's Smoot-Hawley? Well, it was Senator Reed Smoot from Utah and Congressman Willis Hawley from Oregon. These two fellows presided over the worst tariff mistake in American history. As the stock market was crashing and the Great Depression just beginning, well, they drove America's average tariff rate to nearly 60%. And that triggered a retaliatory wave around the world from countries who were all in economic trouble themselves. And there was no tariff diplomacy or deal-making such as Donald Trump and his team are now engaged in. Now, this time around, because of the deal-maker-in-chief, there is virtually no retaliation and hence no global trade war. What's more, Mr. Trump is moving to an average tariff rate of something between 15 to 20%, not 60%. In other words, he is simply rebalancing the world toward reciprocal, fairer, and freer trade. Plus, let's go back to Hoover. President Herbert Hoover, who stupidly signed the Smoot-Hawley tariff in 1930, also agreed to a huge tax hike. Get this. He moved the top tax rate from 25% to nearly 65% in 1932. Wow. Hoover was a fine man, but he was an economic dummy. Donald Trump is not repeating Hoover's mistakes. Trump is cutting taxes and deregulating the economy in order to promote economic growth. Trump is also doing something that is very clever. He is persuading the big economies around the world and their top businesses to make huge direct investments into the United States. These investments could, over time, come to something like $5 or $6 trillion, which will overwhelm the tax hike effect of the tariffs and will merge beautifully with the low-tax business and investment incentives that are embodied in the One Big Beautiful Bill that President Trump just signed into law. This is all totally different than what happened 95 years ago. So far, Mr. Trump has enlisted over half of our big trading partners, and admittedly, he's got more to do. China, still out there. Canada and Mexico and the USMCA deal, still out there. But the EU and Japan's successes give him a lot of momentum. And really, if tariffs are so bad, then why are all these other countries using them? And if trade surpluses are so bad, why are all these other countries using them? Now, I doubt that American trade deficits are going to disappear, or that's even a desirable outcome. But opening market access for our businesses and reducing foreign tariffs and reducing foreign non-tariff barriers, now those are all very desirable goals. That's what Mr. Trump is doing. To oversimplify, think of it this way. We're going to be able to sell rice and cars to Japan. Or we're going to actually sell more cars to Europe. And we're going to sell a ton of clean-burning liquid natural gas to Europe, which would be great for our producers and good to wean Europe off of its Russian energy dependence. How can these things not be good? There was no such diplomacy 100 years ago surrounding Smoot-Hawley. In fact, as the world entered the 1930s, there wasn't much diplomacy of any kind. Today is a completely different history. Mr. Trump is single-handedly doing for the world trading system what it could not do for itself. And that is the riff.